Next category for Gaming ADD's Game of the Year Awards 2020. We have Best Open World Game. I'm going to put a couple spaces between here and that so it's more centered. All right. We have nominated the following games: Maneater, Ghost of Tsushima, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Immortals Fenyx Rising, Spider-Man Miles Morales. This category is included because it seems like every freaking game that is made nowadays seems to be an open world game, and there's a whole slew of them. Everybody wants the value proposition of, hey, I'm going to spend $60 or now $70 on a game. I want to be able to play it for a long period of time. So that's kind of the spirit of the open world game. You go anywhere, do anything.
Did you say Watch Dogs was on that list?
No, I did not put Watch Dogs on that list.
Well, I was going to tell you to take it off before.
Okay.
I'm glad we skipped the step and we're just not even going to put it on the list.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that works for me.
All right, we actually yesterday Maneater just came a free PlayStation Plus game, so that's good.
I need to download it.
Oh, that's fun. I was playing it earlier.
It's fun. It's not too long, but it is that like fantasy of like being the shark in Jaws, right? Like you got this guy that's trying to hunt you, and he killed your mom, cut you out of her belly.
Very campy.
Yes, and I think it does it to good effect. This game could have been really bad, but they straddled that line of being like camp and good by doing that. Some of the upgrades you get are like ridiculous. Bioelectric powers in a shark it's crazy. I like
the open world aspect of it. Like,
yeah.
So you're in open water.
Surprisingly, I hate water games. I hate swimming in games. I hate doing any of that stuff. They made it feel good.
Is there some mystery person out there in the world who fucking loves the water temple or something?
No,
yeah, right. Every game has to have a water level, and they all suck.
The water levels on Mario, Sonic. Ugh.
Yeah, and I think this game nails it. I think this game does good at, making it. There are a couple issues I have with controls, but making it feel good to swim, which is like nobody has ever accomplished before. You travel faster. I think it looks like you travel faster if you're knifing out of the water, sticking your fin out of the water. So if you need to travel somewhere real quick, you just pop up with your fin out and just bypass everything, and they made some smart, like, it seems like the people that made this game did it on a budget, but they did it with an understanding of how to make open world games, like some games, like open world games, you just spend too much time traversing, or you end up relying too much on a fast travel system. And I think that those open world games kind of miss the mark when you hit those barriers, right? The idea of an open world game is that you never want to make it boring to somebody to do things in. That being said, Maneater kind of loses steam about halfway through, to be completely honest. You see kind of everything in Maneater in the first 5 minutes.
And they don't do a great job of what you were saying of like feeling like you can go anywhere,
right,
whenever, because it's very gated. It's very much like, oh, well, you can't do this until you're at least this big. You can't chew on this gate until you've grown a tail.
Right.
Like, okay.
Yeah, so you're kind of cordoned off and locked off until you grow.
You can go on land.
You can.
Yeah.
And it's funny because you
flop around on land.
You flop on the land, and you have an O2 meter when you're on land instead of under the water.
Dude, Jerry or Cyril Figgis or whatever his name is narrating it.
Yeah.
Jerry Smith. And yeah, dude, he's the narrator. He's like, it's supposed to be like a nature documentary almost. Like, and most sea animals know that they have to stay in water to breathe. As you're flopping around trying to walk on.
And that's something this game kind of nails, is having the narrator overarching, because it's enjoyable to listen to.
Great.
Yeah.
Cyril Figgis, Jerry Smith, whatever the actor's name is.
I had some issues in the game getting the collectibles that were like way up in the air that you had to like launch out of the water, because like aiming that stuff was so difficult.
Yes.
But other than that, like the game is perfect for what it is, which is just a very short open world game, lots of stuff to do, really creative powers, and just go and chew on some stuff and have fun.
Yeah, it's just that kind of game. It's not meant to be deep. It's meant to just go in and lose some time in. One of my complaints, though, is when you're knifing in the water, sticking your fin up, like you have to push square to go back down. And when you're getting attacked by something that's like over your level and you accident, because you don't have to push a button to knife, you just go up. So when you're getting attacked and you accidentally knife and you're trying to get away and dodge, but you're stuck above the water with your fin above the water, and it takes you a second to realize you have to push square, that's just my complaint, my only complaint really with the game.
Boost away.
Yeah, but right.
Sprint, whatever.
But in the confusion of like you're trying to evade now, but you're knifing and like it just. But I guess that's just maybe my only problem. My problem. I don't know. All right.
No, I had some camera problems with it every once in a while too, where like getting away was way harder than it should have been because I couldn't really tell where I was going, or the camera would randomly jump up like I was knifing, even though I wasn't.
Right.
And I was like, I can't see what's hitting me at all.
Yeah.
But it is a very fun game for what it is.
Yep. All right. So next, Ghost of Tsushima. Dave, did you play this game? I think we talked about it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I think we were talking about it. I don't think these two played it. Let's actually
these games on the open world list.
Oh, Benji's like.
But it's nice because like outside, I get to ask questions about it.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah. There you go. So Ghost of Tsushima is a samurai. It's like a faithful homage to the old samurai movies. And you're basically.
Didn't like one of the big old samurai directors have a part in making the game too, or like helping them out with art direction?
Yeah, I think there was a consult thing. He didn't work on the game directly, but
right.
I think Mitsuragi. I forget what his name is. Anyway, so they basically your whole island, Tsushima actually exists. I looked it up. Your island is being overrun by Mongols, and they're trying to dominate and kind of overrun your
Mongolians.
Yes, and it's this struggle between like the samurai honor, because everybody knows the samurai died out because they were rigid in their honor belief system and everything and would not bend.
I saw the Tom Cruise movie.
Where he was the last samurai. Sorry, he wasn't. It was funny.
Tom Cruise was the last samurai.
So
Tom Cruise personally, not the movie representation, but the actual Tom Cruise.
I wouldn't mess with him.
Look, I've seen him run like a mile in those Mission Impossible movies. It seems like the only thing he's ever doing in those movies is running somewhere really fast.
Yeah,
so bare minimum, his cardio's got to be better than mine.
Okay, so this is one of those games where you have a huge map, you have a bunch of collectibles on the map, little icons just pop up everywhere, and then you go, do the thing of modern open world games where you liberate a settlement by getting rid of the captors, by doing it. So it does a lot of like the tropes that open world games do. I usually do not like those things. I feel like it's busy work. I usually feel like it's, I don't actually want to engage with that because I just did it. There's something about the presentation of Ghost of Tsushima that makes me compelled to continue to do that. So in other open world games, like Assassin's Creed, you have all those icons on the map and you go and do the little things and you get the things and it's like an armor upgrade or it's, just experience points or you get a bit of story. Ghost of Tsushima has a setup that seems really bad on paper, but actually works really well. So like they'll have bamboo stands, so you have to do a button push to chop through the bamboo stand. And if you get enough of those, you get extra energy in your resolve meter, right? So extra energy to do special attacks and stuff. And if you come across a hot spring, you sit in it and you reflect on things like your uncle or your mother while you're naked. It's a little weird, but and then you get health upgrades if you collect enough of those. There's foxes you chase. If you chase, you get extra slots for your armor to add a charm to, right? There's something about the way the game does this that makes me want to chase all the damn foxes in the game over and over again, even
Don't forget about
though
writing haikus.
yeah, oh yeah, and writing haikus, which the thing with the writing for the haikus is when I first got it, I was like, oh my God, this is so ridiculous. I'm sitting, there's like a perch place where you kneel down and then it brings you to a screen where you're looking at the scenery and you look around until you see a dot and then you focus on the dot and it says like, which line do you want to write? So you'll like pick, a 7-syllable fit line and then it brings you to the next one and then you write again, and it's all looking at nature. And then once you're done, you get a headband as a reward, and that's all. But the purpose of getting these haikus and why they're in the game is just to add to the effect of the world building, right? Making you at one with nature, the whole Japanese aspect of, very
it was
focused.
very much a samurai thing.
Yes, definitely.
And then headband give you infinite ammo.
I don't think so. I didn't look at all of the headbands. But what's cool is when you get the headband, it's like you'll get different collars and it's just cosmetic. But or some of them might have abilities on them. Anyway, but it puts your haiku down, whatever you picked, right? So sometimes I would get them and I would like not know what the next line is and totally botch this haiku, so it made absolutely no sense. And then every time I look through my inventory, I have to read them again. Like, oh man, I totally fucked that one up. But it's just, I think it was a nice like little touch for the world building. And what is an open world game if you don't, everything isn't in service of that world building. You know what I mean? That's my points on that for open world game.
One of the things I really appreciate about Ghost of Tsushima over the other open world games is how subtly they add the tracking system, where it's like in other world, like Assassin's Creed, and like Watch Dogs or whatever, they put the big huge icon on there, and there's a big old arrow pointing you in the way when you track it. And when you track something in Ghost of Tsushima, it's just they explain it at the beginning as the ghost of your father guiding you, but all you really see is a gust of wind comes by and shows you the direction you want to move in. You want to follow the wind. And it seems silly at first because you're like, well, it seems like it would be harder to track than just having like a glowing line leading me to it. But it's never hard to track, and it's done so in such a way that it doesn't detract from everything else. I'm not just staring at the line because that wind blows through and all the leaves rustle up and all the colors are really vibrant, and like it feels much more natural.
Mm-hmm.
Than
whereas if you had a big glowing
game.
Yeah. Whereas if you had a big glowing dot on your screen, like to navigate to, it kind of takes you out of the experience. Everything that they've developed on Ghost of Tsushima is to keep you in the samurai experience. I think that they nailed that aspect of it with the world building.
And the other thing about it too is like the hidden things in that game are hidden very naturally, but they're hidden very well. Like the fox shrines, I've never just stumbled across a fox shrine. I've never just been like walking around and like, oh, hey, the shrine's here.
But you feel like you could, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you totally could. You don't even have to see the fox. It's there, but
they're hidden very well, but it's all very natural too. It's not like it's an area, like a lot of times it's not like an area that's way outside of where I would go. It's just I never noticed it. And then I'm following that fox and I'm like, how have I not stumbled into one of these things? How have I not just been walking around and stumbled into a fox shrine?
Yeah, it's good. It does a really good job at keeping you in that world and engaged. Like I could fast travel in that game, but I can only think of a handful of times I actually used the system because you get a horse and this and that. But it was like I'm going to this objective, and along the way I would see, oh, this is a thing I need to do. This is a thing I need to do. This is a thing I need to do. And usually that kind of makes it so like I put the game down and never ever finish it. But I did actually finish this game, so I think that's a good
which horse
testament.
name is the best, and why is it Nobu?
Yes, it is Nobu. You're right. That's exactly who I picked.
Oh man!
All right, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I think I am not very far in this game.
Eddie, you want to take the lead with this one?
Sure. I got it just about maybe 45 hours into it. I'm in the second part of the game. Well,
45 hours?
Well, here, so you start on your little Norse island. You go to England. You pick between the north or the south, and it's up to you. You do both of them, but one you do first. So I picked south first. Now I'm doing the north. So I guess it's really like the third part of the game, but it's still basically the second part. I have collected. I'm trying to 100% it. I try to do that in video games. I'm one of those guys.
Me too. It's a daunting task in that game, though.
Right. So that's 45 hours. Second part of the game. Third part maybe, but it's a lot of fun. It does have that problem with open world games where you've never been to an area, but you need to go right here because there's a giant thing on your map telling you to go right here.
Yeah.
But the thing that keeps me interested in it is with the lore, the Viking lore, the Viking mythology, the way of life, and even the historical aspect. I know it's not 100% historical accurate, which is the historical aspect of the ancient European, the ancient England, and even it touches base a little bit on the Romans too, because England is one.
I think if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, but Origins is first, then Valhalla, and then Odyssey.
I don't know the timeline.
Okay, well, Odyssey is the Romans, I believe, so it makes sense why they would tie that in.
I think Valhalla's after Odyssey.
Yeah, Romans were
because there's a lot of Roman. They talk about Roman ruins a lot in the game.
Oh, do they? Okay, like I said, I could be wrong. Anyway, that was just a side note.
Yeah, this is basically like the battle over England to either unify it, keep it separate, whatever. And the Vikings are trying to take their piece because they know the North is Norway is not working out well for what they're wanting to do. Mm-hmm. But there's three things on the maps. You have treasures, you have mysteries, and you have artifacts. The treasure that can be stuff to upgrade your weapons. It can just be treasure, silver stuff you can sell, or it can be new gear, new weapons. So going through it, the story's keeping me interested. I'm just trying to get all that extra stuff, and then you can also do. You have the ancient the League of Doom, whatever the actual name is. It for
the Templars or whatever.
Yeah, you can hunt them down. You find clues. We can hunt them down, and they're just in the game, but you don't know that they're these part of this dark brotherhood or whatever until you find these clues, and you're like, oh, I know where that person's at. And then you go kill them. You get tokens, whatever, from the actual people that are part of the Assassin's Guild.
Yeah. All right, let me ask you this question. How long did it take you to fully grasp the navigation in that game?
Navigation? Oh, that was near instantaneous.
Well, I've played a lot of open world games, and I didn't play Odyssey very much, but I played a little bit of Origins, probably about half, and that was like 3 years ago. And somehow, like, my brain was broke trying to understand how to do things in this game. Like, when you have a mission objective, and then, like, you had to use your Raven to find an area. Did that kind of stuff happen, like, after you figured out what you're doing? Did you get, like, okay, this is second hat, this is old hat, I know how to do this kind of thing? Or
well, I don't have much history in the previous Assassin's Creed. I played like 1 and 2, and they're so much the same game. You're doing the same thing over and over again. I dropped them. This one piqued my interest with it being newer, with it being the Viking lore. I was like, yeah, all right, I'll try it out. I'll figure it out. I'll give it another chance. And I don't know. I thought it was, for me, everyone's different. For me, I thought it was easy. The Raven, I almost never use. I don't know exactly why they add that into the game. You use your like Odin's Eye ability, where it can highlight the area around you with your enemies and treasures. And keys.
Yeah, the typical open world hey, highlight the things that are important, so I don't spend a lot of time looking.
So I don't you have to use the Raven when it tells like the little mini tutorial about how to use it, but I honestly don't rarely ever use it.
I might have also had a problem with this game playing it because I was trying to stream and assimilate all the information at the beginning, and I don't think my brain took it all in. So it's probably just a problem with me.
So I don't use the Raven unless they tell me I have to.
Yeah.
Like, unless they're like, you have to use the Raven to find it. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And the other time I'll use the Raven is when you're in the town building portion of it, because it does show you where the buildings you can build are, and sometimes I lose track of where those are at.
Okay.
It will. If you look at it through the Raven's eyes, it'll show you where each building you can build is, and like if you focus on it with the Raven, it'll tell you what the building is and what purpose it serves.
Oh, nice.
So that it's a nice overview, so you're not just like running around trying to figure out which buildings you can build. But that's it. Other than that Raven.
It's a cool feature.
Unnecessary.
Not needed.
I'm sure some people use it because they prefer to find things that way, but
yeah.
Okay. All right, how about Immortals Fenyx Rising?
Real quick before we jump off Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
The one thing that I wanted to mention about the open worldness and the mysteries, like one of the reasons the open world in this one appeals to me more than open worlds and other ones, is that mysteries, that whole category. You can stumble upon that and you never know what it is you're going to get. Like sometimes there's like a dark tomb you have to explore. Sometimes it's just some lady who wants to fart really loud and ask you to get her a bunch of eggs.
I had one that they wanted me to burn down their house because they had sex during war and they couldn't do it. So they're like, burn down my house and make us horny, basically, by burning down my house. It was wild.
They would only bang during raids, and since they were in England, they haven't been raiding.
It's the only way I can climb.
Literally, she
smash up their house.
Euphemism about how he can't get it up.
Like, it gets me hot in more ways
And did you guys also come across that guy with the axe in his head that's just talking to you? Like, it wasn't part of the story or anything. You're just walking. There's a dude with his axe in his head, and he's like, hey, I got in this battle. I don't think I'm like doing so well. And he has an axe sticking out of his forehead. He's like, brother, you have an axe in your head.
It's funny too because you have the options. You can like tell him he has an axe in his head, or you can lie to him, or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Those mysteries really intrigue me. Like some of the wealth stuff, like I'm trying to 100% it too, but sometimes like if I'm not in the mood to be searching for stuff, I'll just skip over the wealth stuff. But those mysteries, if I'm in an area, I look for every one of them because, like I said, you never know what you're going to get. And it's nice that it's like you get little snippets of stories, like little small stories that you can just kind of digest really quickly and be done with.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's nice for like popping in and like, I don't have enough time to go tackle a story mission, but I can go kill a bunch of snakes for this dude, or.
Yeah, that's great. That's great to hear because the issue with a lot of open world games is people look at it and then they get real, like I do this, where they're like, I am so overwhelmed with all these little icons on the map. Like, I'm just going to go play something else. So it's good to hear that like this game offers a cadence where you just pop in, do a little thing real quick, pop back out.
Yeah. And it's especially nice for the PlayStation 5 because it loads so quick that it's not like, I don't feel, if I was still playing it on an old console, it wouldn't be that great because by the time I loaded in, I'd be like, well, I don't feel like doing anything.
Yeah, and the Assassin's Creed tended to load a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That sounds like a strong argument. How about Immortals Fenyx Rising?
The narration.
Top notch. Great narration.
I've never played.
Okay, so.
I haven't played it either.
Oh, this game. It's like, okay, so it's like Breath of the Wild and Assassin's Creed had a baby. It would be named Immortals Fenyx Rising. So this game tends to make you wonder what's over there. And then
need to throw a little bit of Borderlands in there too for the narration.
Yeah, and then when you, It's man, I want to go explore this place like Breath of the Wild. I want to go. I can see a mountain all the way over in the distance. I want to climb to it, and then when I get there, I get Zeus talking about how he got his rocks off all over so and so. Like, oh yeah, I was with like just saying like it seems like college humor. Like Zeus is this like college frat boy that just keeps talking, and you're like, shut up, I don't want you to talk. I'm okay just looking at this world without you speaking.
So he takes the fun out of every moment. Every time I hear his voice, I'm like, oh, not again.
Like in a game like without Zeus in here, this game would be a serious contender for this category, because it does fill you with that sense of wonder, like what's over there. Like, and a lot of the enemies are samey, and it's not very challenging combat, but it's one of the, it has that same thing that Ghost of Tsushima has, where like you feel like you're getting meaningful rewards for going and chasing down these things. It has the Breath of the Wild thing where you can hold in and do your look, and then like tag spots on the map, so when you do it again, they're there permanently, like and mark on the map and all that stuff. It's a little less refined, I think, and a little less interesting than Breath of the Wild's, but it is serviceable. But like
I have the exact opposite feeling about that than you do. Like, I actually do not like the way that they handle that stuff at all. Because in Breath of the Wild, it felt much more natural to me.
You're right.
Because it wasn't like, here's this weird vibration that you're just throwing your cursor, trying to cover the entire thing, looking for the vibration.
Okay, you are correct. I that is the one thing that sets Breath of the Wild apart, because Breath of the Wild was your decision to go by your sight and what you see, right? Immortals Fenyx Rising does, when you riding around the thing, it's like a vibration, and then you have to hone in on the area, and then you tag it, right? When it vibrates a certain way. And Breath of the Wild was based solely on your imagination, so yeah.
And it's kind of just like every time I get to a new area, it's like, all right, I have to find the highest thing. I need to climb it. And then I just have to spastically throw my cursor across the entire screen to find all the collectibles.
Okay, that is fair. That is a fair critique of that. And
then I feel like the collectibles are less inventive than other games too. It's kind of just like, okay, well, here's the ambrosia to increase your health, and here's Zeus's thunder to increase your stamina, and here's some upgrade points to make your gear better. It feels very dated. It feels like an original Assassin's Creed game in that sense, where it's like, here's just a ton of collectibles, go find them. And it feels like it has less weight because of that.
It does. Like, there's no moment in this game where it's like, hey, go to this area for this collectible and then do a haiku. You know what I mean? Or like have this challenge where you have to hit a series of button presses correctly in order to chop the bamboo. You know, it's just pick this thing up.
None of it feels connected in any way.
Right.
It's just there. It's just stuff you have to do if you want to get better.
Yes. That being said,
that said, some of the ways in which you have to get the items are very cool. Some of the puzzles you have to solve.
That's what I was going to say. Yep.
Like, I think they are more inventive than other open world games are in that regard. Like, some of those puzzles that I had to solve to get to the items were really cool. I felt like I was actually having to solve a puzzle and having to figure something out. And how do I get this door open? And how do I move this in such a way that allows me to shoot an arrow through fire before it gets there so I can light the thing to open it up? Like, there were very cool puzzles to getting the items. They're just, the items didn't feel that important.
Gotcha. Yeah, I do feel the same way. It's like basically they did the shrines from Breath of the Wild. And I always love the shrines, and I guess maybe that's why I'm so hot on the game, is because I get to do more shrines. But
to me, it feels like the shrines without feeling rewarding.
Okay.
It's like I get that moment where, like, I love solving the puzzle, and I get that elation when I figured it out. I'm like, oh, I got it. Okay, this is how I do it. And then I go and open the chest, and I'm like, cool. I got a helmet that I'm never going to use, or like I got some upgrade materials that
Right.
I still need to get
the
3
armor
more
does
of
seem
before I can
very
do anything.
inconsequential. Like I mean, it's just. All right, we'll move on real quick to Spider-Man Miles Morales. Do we have a lot to say about the open world there?
I mean, I love that open world. It's gorgeous. There's a lot to do in it. The content sometimes feels pointless and sometimes doesn't. I think some of the collectibles are better done than others. Like the stuff, what is it? Have you done the postcard thing yet?
No, I did not get to it.
I'm going to spoil it for you.
Spoilers.
Okay, go ahead.
Spoilers. The postcard to me is the coolest collectible. And like the time capsule is the worst. Like, because the time capsule is pointless. It's just, okay, yeah, I found time capsule, cool. A little bit of history about you and Finn, but there's never really a point to it other than just it's a collectible you go get. Whereas the postcard, which is post-game, which, spoiler alert, if you don't want to hear about post-game Miles Morales, you should stop listening for the next 30 seconds to a minute. The postcard is the coolest one. Post-game, you go back to your house, you find a note from your mom with a flash drive in it. You play the flash, you find a postcard, and your mom, it has clues as to where you can find the next postcard. And so then you're kind of just left to hunt around the world to find this next postcard. When you find the first postcard, it has a thumb drive in it. And for those of you who haven't played the first one, I guess these are also spoilers here. It has a voice recording from Miles' dad about a scavenger hunt that he set up for him, who is now dead. And so you get this moment of him kind of reconnecting with his father, his dead father, over this scavenger hunt across the city.
That's awesome.
That really has a lot of emotion and a lot of weight to it in a way that most collectibles don't.
And this is post game. After you beat the game. That's great.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I haven't played it yet.
It's a great game. Now I think we can safely take Immortals Fenyx Rising off this list.
Yes.
Why? The narrator.
It sucks. And then what else? We got to cut something.
Maneater's great, but I wouldn't say it's the best.
Right.
Yeah.
I am in agreement. It's a great new idea, novel idea. But yes. Okay. So we have 3. We need
Can
1.
we take Watch Dogs off the list a second time?
Yes. double trouble. All right. So for me, it sounds like you guys have a lot of you're really hot for Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
And I'm very hot for Ghost of Tsushima. My argument against Miles Morales, even though it is a great game, the open world aspects and the collectathons and the challenges, like, there's just not enough of them. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think the story and the main missions are of the appropriate length. It does not need to be longer. It does not need to be shorter. Everybody's complaining about it, but I think it's perfect. But the side stuff, there's just not enough to really qualify it in best open world game. You know what I mean? If you were talking linear game and they took the open world out, then I would say, yeah, hell yeah. But for the open world aspects, I would take it off the list.
I would say, I think I'm in agreement with you here. Of the 3, I think it's the worst one. Mm-hmm. But I would say, in terms of traversing the open world, it is by far the most fun.
Absolutely. Yes,
and
it is.
Like, just being able to leap through, like, I did not use fast travel in that game once.
No.
Because I enjoyed swinging through that world so much.
Right.
And just seeing all the little things, and especially once you get it in performance or whichever mode puts it in 4K with ray tracing,
right?
And like as you're swinging through, you see his reflections in the windows and lights reflecting off of everything. It's
wild. Okay, all right. So goodbye, Spider-Man. Rest in peace. All right.
I have a quick question.
Goes
to Sushi-mom. What platform is that on?
PS5. It's a PS5 exclusive. It's made by Sucker
PS4.
Punch, which made
PlayStation.
Sorry,
4.
PS4. Sorry. It was made by Sucker Punch, who made Infamous and Sly Cooper.
Okay, Infamous was good. Yeah, I want to have to check that out. It sounds really awesome. I can't.
Oh,
you do really need to check it out.
It's amazing.
I can't say it's the best without playing it, unfortunately. So
right.
I'm going to have to say Valhalla with Ghost being second, but Ghost of Tsushima sounds awesome.
All right,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Ghost of Tsushima because I was way hotter on that.
So that makes Benji the tiebreaker.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Assassin's Creed because from what I hear, it sounds really compelling. I mean, they both sound great. I really like the idea. I listened to podcasts where they talked about Ghost of Tsushima, Sushi-mom, and I thought it. Well, Sushi-mom sounds like a great game too, but I think that the whole thing with finding the waypoints with the wind is really creative. I really like that. That was one thing that stuck out to me. I love Japanese lore and stuff like that. But Assassin's Creed, also, obviously it's coming from that foundation of Assassin's Creed, and
they do open world games. That's what Ubisoft does.
Different world. And I don't have any, I haven't played either one of these games, but I think that Assassin's Creed sounds a lot stronger.
So I would pick Ghost of Tsushima.
Okay. He did that on purpose.
I know. I sold Assassin's Creed a lot, but between the two of them, I actually much prefer Ghost's open world. I think it feels a little bit more natural, and I think the story building in it is just so good, and the world building in it is so good, and the art is gorgeous.
It's the best looking game I've ever seen. That's not even a joke. But this is not best graphics, so
no, it's not. But in terms of the open world, I do think it has an edge over Assassin's Creed because Assassin's Creed is very bogged down in that wealth sometimes. That third collectible, that's just, there's a bunch of it, and some of it doesn't feel that great, and it doesn't feel like there's any reason for me to go after it.
Now, on an open world scale, like I said, I haven't played Ghost. Now, the map for Valhalla is huge.
Mm-hmm.
It is not as big as the map for Valhalla.
Not saying that bigger is always better.
I am.
Then they have this huge map and they just try to fill it.
Yeah.
Filler.
That they don't even, with filler. Exactly.
Assassin's Creed definitely has more content.
Yeah.
By far. So,
I'm one-sided because I haven't played Ghost of Tsushima.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I
guess to make an even vote, unfortunately for Benji, he hasn't played either of them.
Right, maybe I should just bow out of this vote and then just like a three.
So if you're agreeable to whatever we come up with,
yeah.
I mean, you said
through me.
You said what you were more you thought the stronger argument was, which.
Right, but also I do like Japanese stuff, so.
Well, I will also, I didn't touch on the side story stuff, and I know Assassin's Creed has a lot of this stuff. There are meaningful quest lines in the side story parts, like side missions, that are very like heart-wrenching in a way, and it humanizes all the characters in the story, which it technically is more story-based stuff, but when you're talking about like open world and being optional, I think that the side missions kind of factor a little bit into that. I didn't do too many. Maybe Dave can speak, or Eddie, you can speak to the side missions and how impactful and like making you understand the main story they are.
Yeah, some of them are deep, and some of them are hilarious.
Yeah.
Which is good because there's not a hilarious bone in Ghost of Tsushima's body, honestly.
To Assassin's Creed's credit and disservice, there is some brevity in it. It's different, really, is what it comes down to. Is it does take away a little bit from the world, the seriousness of the Viking portion of it, but it adds some brevity to the game. It's just a different perspective, though. It's just two ways of doing it.
Do you think Assassin's Creed would be a better game without the brevity, without like the funny moments?
No,
because I think if they added funny moments into Ghost of Tsushima,
it wouldn't fit.
It would not. It would not. So
yeah.
It sounds like both people made the right choices for.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure what is in Assassin's Creed isn't like detracting from the experience.
No,
Assassin's
it's not.
Creed.
It more just makes you chuckle.
Yes.
Yeah, like the axe in the head or the
Yeah.
burning the house
But
down.
Not in that narrator
Oh god,
swirling
yeah.
type of way where it is actually detracting from the gameplay. It is
Yeah. I could go either way on it. So, because you guys make really strong cases for Assassin's Creed. I didn't play a whole bunch of it. I got off the first island, but I kind of didn't do a lot on that first island. So, and I helped the lady get her settlement back. So, I will say that the some of the mission structure, like that when you had to detect who the traitor for that one, I forget her name. Do you know what I'm talking about? When you had to go. Yeah, when you had to go and find out who the person of her 3 trusted advisors was the traitor, I thought that was actually really engaging. Like, I didn't want to look it up, but I didn't want to spend all the time walking around finding things because they didn't tell you where the boats were. You know, they didn't. To its credit, they didn't tell you like, here's your marker, go to it for those things because you're supposed to figure it out on your own. And that was
they made you actually be the detective.
Yes, and I was
hunt missions that are like that too, where you're hunting. And it doesn't say, "Hey, go hunt this animal. It's right here on your map." You actually, the lady follows through, and she's tracking and other stuff. So,
is there more that you've seen of missions like that where they let you be the explorer instead of guiding you?
Yes, yeah, there are more missions like that.
That's
they
a very
may
big...
not be as in depth as that one is. That's the most in depth one that I've been a part of. But there are more missions where you are solving the puzzle when there is not clear guidance as to how or what you're supposed to do. They're not like, go look at this point.
Yeah. In light of that, and considering that, I think that's a strong point for Assassin's Creed in general, because usually it's just, and like I didn't play a lot of the last 2 to really speak to it totally, but I did play all of the ones before the reboot. And there was like none of that. Like it was just check off all the boxes and it soured me on it. So this one does interest me more. And I would be willing to concede to Valhalla.
Valhalla.
I guess that's...
What do you think?
Valhalla's our winner. Ghost of Tsushima's our runner-up.
All right.